Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fifth Black Women in Media online conference and award show. I am here with an amazing array of panelists from radio and broadcast. The one and only Miss Jasmine Saunders, Courtney Hicks, and Shanique Mincy. Did I say her name properly? They just gave me
Mince. You did. Okay. Mincy like mince meat. Like mince meat.
Mincy. So I want us to, the theme for the entire conference is the pivot. And I know that you ladies have been able to do a lot of pivoting throughout your careers, but this year specifically for 2020, we all had to pivot during this global pandemic. And I want us to go into that. But first, I want us to kind of go through you guys' bio. Just let us know the work that you worked on and the amazing things that you've been doing and just using your voices in the spaces that you've been taking up. So Jasmine, you can start.
Oh, great. Start with me. No pressure. So my background is radio, TV. I went to Middle Tennessee State University, majored in broadcast journalism, double majored with political science, worked in radio. And anybody who's worked in radio knows that you travel from market to market forever, small and big. And I worked in New York for a number of years before I ended up doing this syndicated show with D.L. Hughley, and that led to opportunities in TV to do a TV version of that. And what I do most passionately is work with foster care, because I myself am a foster care kid who was lucky enough to be adopted, but I know that there are thousands of other children who are not so lucky. So I do my best to spread the word and awareness about our young Black kids who are stuck in the system.
I love that. That's amazing that you're able to tap into that passion. A lot of times we have like a focus on like my career, and then sometimes it's hard for us to tap. And sometimes our careers are not really the area that we're passionate about. So I love that you're like dual and doing both things. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Courtney, do you want to share your background, your bio?
Sure. Hello to all the lovely ladies I'm sharing this panel with. I'm from Detroit, and I went to attended Michigan State University. So I was a lazy student, and I tried journalism for like a semester, and I was like, well, no, let me go to communication arts and sciences and get a broad view and a broad perspective on a little bit of everything. And ended up in radio. I took an internship at a local commercial station in Lansing, Michigan. And about a year, found myself in Chicago in the thick of things, trying to be real grown, and kind of like had 2 tours in Chicago, did some time in Detroit, where actually Jasmine and myself, we crossed paths as, the D.L. Hughley show premiere. And just recently talking about in regards to pivoting, decided to jump lanes, same highway, different lane, decided to move from radio to news anchoring. So I relocated here to Augusta, Georgia, a little over a year ago. And so I'm actually, and I used to do mornings, so I would have been free and clear, but I got switched to nights. The evening anchor, her last day is today, so they're having a little party here in this newsroom right here. And I'm going to anchor for her because she's going to get off early today. So I definitely still, wanted to come on and be a part of it and just, juggle all these different things at the same time. This, of course, is very important. And I've got a lot of women of color in this newsroom, which is very rare. So they're tuning in right now. As a matter of fact, I keep looking over there to make sure that they're tuning in.
Amazing.
Yep.
So Shanique?
Definitely. Was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in school when I actually was in high school. I thought originally I was going to become an attorney. And then once I got on the debate team, I figured, I didn't like going to the library and researching and things of that nature. But I was doing the announcements in high school. And so, the school was very proactive in trying to figure out, hey, what it is that you want to do. So someone had suggested about the radio and television. I always loved music, and I knew I couldn't sing. I couldn't rap. So, the next best thing was to try to, do something within music. But, so I'm originally from New Jersey, and I had some cousins and used to visit them in Atlanta all the time. And I told my parents, I was like, I want to go to school in Atlanta. And so I went to Georgia State, and where I majored in broadcast journalism, radio and television, and also some newspaper print. And I actually
was on the college radio station there, WRAS, and Shaka Zulu, which was Ludacris's manager. Well, he actually worked at the radio station first, and he was like, "Hey, we got a part-time position. You should come apply." And I was like, "I don't know. I'm trying to finish school. Not being young and dumb. Like, girl, you better go ahead and take this job." So I started out doing overnights at actually it was Hot 97.5 at the time, but it's Hot 107.9 now. And then I worked in Macon for a while. Was able to get out of that overnight spot. It's good to necessarily finish there. And then I went to go work with Mike Roberts. He owned his own station in Macon, Georgia for a while. And then I figured the next progression in the career was to, become a music director. So I landed a job in Columbia, South Carolina. And so I was able to work my way up from music director to assistant program director, not just for the urban mainstream station, which I am actually still on the air, but also for the UAC station, which is the Big DM. And, and now it's like, you're doing like probably 10 different jobs, not just being on the air, but also a lot of things behind the scenes. And you're an event planner, and, the list just goes on and on and on. So, and currently I just got finished doing an anthology. So I'm super excited about that with like 14 other people. And the book is called Fortitude, and it's called The Anthology of Overcomers. So, you talk about pivot, and you have to definitely use the gifts that God gave you and be able to, be able to maneuver and do some different things. So, super excited about being here with all the ladies.
Yeah, I love that you said that in high school they were really focused on like what your gifts was, because that we don't really see that. Like in today's time with young people, it's very hard for them to kind of find like what is it that I want to do and find the passion. That was really great that you were able to have a high school to tap in. I want to get into mentorship a lot later on in the conversation. But I want to start out by asking, how do you guys successfully achieve your goals while overcoming like obstacles? Like, I want you to talk about a story maybe that you had an obstacle in your career and you were still able to kind of push through and achieve that goal point. Courtney, do you want to share?
Ooh, obstacle, man, so many. I think first and foremost, just being, a female in this industry, it's just been very tough. It's very male dominated, and in some cases still is. Others, I was able to matriculate to management. Really didn't care for that too much because I didn't like managing people's lives. And radio personalities, we have people's lives and personalities, and that kind of got on my nerve. But what I did enjoy was cultivating talent, was bringing talent along as folks. And I kind of got my start in Chicago. Folks in Chicago had brought me along. But I think my biggest challenge was, within the ebb and the flow of radio was, staying relevant and staying valuable. Whether it be, kind of dancing your way around, syndication, which came in like a hurricane, if you will, or if it was, I remember one point in my career, it was, for some reason, you have your, for the most part, Black male programmers. I'm talking, mid late 90s and on into now. And for some reason, there are sisters too, but there was like this Latin explosion. And I was like, well, you know what? I don't talk like that. I don't look like that. And so, well, what am I gonna do? Because I'm just a Black girl, and I don't have all of this, and I don't have all of that. And what I really had to begin to press in on and lean in on is, first and foremost, realize that only I could bring what I could bring to the table, and realize those things and really hone in on them. Nobody could interview an artist and get an artist like the baby girl Courtney Hicks, and all the record label folks. They knew that when they came to Chicago, they wanted to make sure their artists came to see Courtney. And so you have to really pick up on what's unique about you, and factor in, what is your power, and that'll help you continue to either maintain or rise. And so it got to a point where, I wasn't, they couldn't deny me, if you will. And then if you can take that and still remain like relatively nice and sweet and kind of treat people the way you want to be treated, even though sometimes our coworkers in our industry can be a mess, then you winning.
I want to talk about like the attack on the media in the past 4 years with the administration that we've been in, and the attack on news media. How has that affected the way you tell stories? Jasmine, do you want to share like the whole fake news, the whole attack on media? How has that impacted the way you tell your stories when you get behind that broadcasting mic?
Well, for me, it's really all about integrity and truth. We can all have opinions about everything, but at the end of the day, facts are facts.
Right.
And so in this age of the Trump administration, the fake news and alternative facts, if you will, my thing has always been, because I'm a student first of journalism.
Right.
And so I know I do not put myself or my opinion in the story. I have to relay the facts. And I got to say, it can be very difficult because you have all of these internet reporters who, what we call rip and read. They rip something and they read it and they run with it without doing the research and reading past the first paragraph, but on down sometimes into the third or fourth where the meat of the story may be. And obviously we know the devil is in the details. And so for me, I just decided when all of this began, I would stay true. I would stay the course. I would stay focused, and I would focus on the facts. And you can argue with your opinion. You can argue with all of that, but you can't argue with facts. So my thing is, I don't split words. I tell it like it is. I get your side, my side, and the truth, and I report all of that. And then if you walk away with your own story, that's on you. But I'm going to report the hardcore facts. Period. And I'm going to have the data to back it up every time.
Right. So I want to speak for young journalists coming up in the game and just the difficulty it is to kind of get. I know that we all have platforms now. I spoke about that last night. Like, you can be on social media and we all have platforms now, right? But trying to get that job or trying to get your foot in the door, what avenues have you taken, Shanique? What avenues have you taken to get there, and what advice can you give like a young journalist that she may not have went to college for journalism and she wants to get into this field? Would you tell her to go back to school? Would you tell her to go intern? Like, what would you tell her?
It just really, I think it's on an individual basis. I do understand sometimes that school is not for everybody, but that doesn't still mean that they're not talented in some type of right and that they cannot find their way, whether they want to be in radio and broadcast. Depending on the company that you want to go work for, some people, and even if you're dealing with, I guess, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, an old school programmer, where they may look at that. When it comes to women, unfortunately, they are looking at your look, and how do you look and how you present yourself and how do you look in public appearances. Of course, we haven't done that a lot lately because of the pandemic, but you're not only just based on the sound or the texture of your voice and how you may be able to deliver something on air and how to sell it. It's all, it's about your look too. So what I say to some young ladies, because there have been some young ladies that have, approached me and say, hey, I haven't gone to school, but I'm still interested. How can I do this? And we do offer internships at the radio station. Some radio stations, it may be a situation where you are a college student. You only can come in with college credit. And I understand that because there have been some lawsuits that actually some students or some people have garnered against the radio station because they felt like they were working them too hard, and sometimes you have to pay your dues. A lot of the younger generation don't understand about paying their dues. They think that they have the microwave method. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
When you said working too hard, I was like, what?
60 seconds. They're gonna blow up in 60 seconds, or they think sometimes that it's like the Staple commercial and they can hit that easy button and it's just going to be that easy. And even though we make it look easy, we make it sound easy, it's not. You do have to take and put in some work. So I say to some people that if it's something that you really want to do, you do need to study it, and you do need to try to establish a relationship with people. And you'll be surprised, even if they're not able to maybe make something happen at their particular radio station, they can call somebody maybe for you and say, hey, I know somebody, I met somebody, is there opportunity? So, sometimes you just gotta, you still have to, you beat the pavement, and you still have to call, you have to email, and, and just forge your way forward in what it is you want to do, but also let them know that you're willing to learn, that you don't know, but, you're willing to learn, and you're willing to put in the time, the energy, and the effort to do so. And it's going to take some time. It just doesn't happen overnight like that.
Right. Thank you for that. Also me. Jasmine, I want to talk to you. Well, the theme is the pivot, and I want to talk to you because you brought up that you have an organization that you're helping foster children, and you still do radio, and you still do all these things. So how has that pivot happened? So let's talk a little bit about that, the complexity of that, and being able to pivot from one thing to the next. Because I know women, we are very multidimensional, but I want to talk about the way you do it. How do you juggle it all?
Well, the first thing I remember that my grandmother taught me is that movement is life. So anything that becomes stagnant and that is still will die. And so for me, it's how can I fill my life with so much that when it is time for me to go, I can say I rang myself completely out. And so for me, I always know, like I said, too much given, much required. And I think about all the stuff that other people have poured into me, the people who came before me, who made it possible for me to do what I do. And I would be remiss not to at least take some time and give back. I can't walk this life and be selfish. So my thing is I work hard every day. You know, I get up, I have a schedule where I spend a certain amount of time doing that necessary evil of social media. I read, I see what's going on in the news. I make all my phone calls, return my text messages and all of that. I plan out the day for radio. I plan out the day for TV, but then I have a day that really is for giving back. And I have a day that is for giving back to me because I can't constantly pour out into everything and never refill my own pitcher. So,
absolutely,
you know, it's tiresome, but I feel as though as long as there is blood in my veins and air in my breath, it's my responsibility because there are other people out there who don't have the same opportunities that I have and other people who are clamoring to be where I am. So for me, it's all about, you know, giving into the universe and saying, I see what you've done for me. I appreciate it. And the way I show my appreciation is, you know, giving it my all every single day and remembering faith without works is dead. So for me, it's, you know, yeah, there are times that I'm tired, but I also remember the time when I didn't have a gig. I remember the time when I was the one looking and hoping somebody would pick up my air check and listen to it, or hoping someone would just notice me. And I remember that. And so because it's in me to not go back there. Not again, I don't want to be that person, but I want to be the person who reaches back to become the bridge for someone else the way someone was for me.
It's very inspiring. That's very inspiring. Courtney, what does the word pivot mean for you in your career?
Girl, what would pivot be equivalent to? Pivot would be equivalent to stay ready. Just stay ready. You know, especially nowadays, things are just so uncertain and unpredictable. And I really have, I've gone about dismissing, if you will, this whole notion of trying to get back to normal. I don't think after this pandemic, and there will be an after. I don't think things will go back to being normal. And I don't know, in some sense, you know, if going back to normal is maybe the best solution or resolution to that. I think you know, newness you know, always brings forth you know, a different way of thinking and doing. You know, we know, you know, that you can't do a new thing with old ways. So when I sit and I try to think about the positive in this pandemic, and what can I extract from this experience, it is that you know, most times, if not all the time, you're not going to be able to rise up in new ideas, in creativity. You're not going to be able to really meet, you know, the level of excellence that you have been designed and wired to meet, if you sort of kind of don't either get ready, and once you get ready, you know, stay ready, because you know, this life and this particular industry, in particular, very unpredictable.
Yeah,
very, very unpredictable. You know, I decided to leave radio, and I knew, you know, TV is a lot more formal than radio. So I knew I couldn't be attached to anything contractually speaking. So I made that sacrifice. And, you know, I was tested that whole, you know, we always want to, you know, try to control, our path, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to leave radio. And in about a year, I'm going to be at an anchor desk. And it took about 2 years. And God had something else in mind. He wanted to send me all through that wilderness. And really, he needed to reposture me and reposition me so he can trust me with what he was about to do for me. So the thing took 2 years. And my credit cards were like, really? Everything was just talking to me. I'm like, God, this. And in the meeting in between, ladies, Dallas was calling about radio. Houston was calling about radio. Arizona was calling about radio. I was even on my way. The dude was about to send a letter of intent, and he got fired. So I was like, okay, God, you're gonna force me and hold me to my promises, right? So be ready and stay ready, and know that you have to dwell in possibility, and when you ask for it, spiritually speaking, he'll give it to you, but you have to be open to the way he chooses to give it to you, because you really ain't controlling nothing. So
ain't that the truth? And can I add something to what Courtney just said really quickly? The one word that we stumble over and it's very tough to say, and that's fired. In this industry, get ready to get fired. You're going to be fired a lot, and it's not going to be easy. Your feelings are going to be hurt. It may not have anything to do with you. I've been on jobs and come in and had no idea there was going to be a format change. They done flipped the station to country and didn't tell me. And now you're out of a job. So I think when you speak about pivot, it means making sure that, like she said, you stay ready, because you may have to go in doing promotion. They may want to pull you off air and put you into sales. So you have to make sure that you are ready all the way around, and not just ready for the microphone, but whatever comes your way, because you never know when the F-bomb is going to hit you. And I ain't talking about the one that ends in K.
That's right.
That's some great advice. That's some great advice. Neek, how has the pandemic helped you to kind of shift in the pivot word again? How has it helped you kind of shift in the way you're creating? Because right now, the conference, look where we are. We were able to say, listen, this has to get done. So how have you done that within this past 8 months that we've been in this pandemic?
Well, actually, even just to kind of piggyback off of what Courtney said and what Jasmine said, and sometimes not even in the sense of, sometimes you get demoted too. Or either with this pandemic, you are now, unfortunately, with my company, they put people on furlough. They let some people go, unfortunately. They let a whole promotions department go. So, guess who's doing promotions as well as being on the air and also being music director and assistant program director? That's me. So, as Courtney said earlier, you have to stay ready. And so when you think about pivot, the definition of pivot is to turn, it's to rotate, it's to swivel, it's to, in this sense, and even what we're speaking about right now, we're shifting to a new strategy. We have to create like a new market and a new vertical, and we have to be open to prioritize. So, when I think about pivot, I'm thinking about all these different things and figuring out how do you stay relevant within the industry, and not just radio, but, we're also involved in the entertainment industry as well. So with pivot, you're thinking about, turning and changing and moving and rotating in so many different ways. And, so that's one thing that you had to learn, like, say, for instance, like you said, with this conference, you guys, we all had to, we know a little bit about, being virtual and being online because of social media, but to actually, conduct a forum like you guys have going on. We have a women's empowerment event. Jasmine actually came, to be a part of one of our women's empowerment events live, but hey, we had to do it virtually this year. I knew nothing about doing anything virtual. And I didn't realize it is so much more work involved. And I applaud you ladies, Black women in media, because there's so much that goes into the details of everything when you're talking about, arranging guests and scheduling and so on and so forth, or whatever like that. And then, also figuring out how to monetize it at the same time, and keeping people's attention span, because people, they'll tune in, they'll tune out, this, that, and the third. So when you're thinking about pivoting, it's it's a lot of different directions, but also keeping up with technology and pivoting in that direction as well, so you can stay relevant and be able to inform and entertain your audience.
Right. So for now, we're going to wrap up soon, but I just want each and every one of you to give advice to your younger self, which will be
like,
at your first gig, what advice would you give to your younger self? Jasmine?
Damn. My advice would be to have more fun, to be open to learning more and not thinking I know everything, and to be even more fearless than I was. And really quickly, I will give advice that someone gave to me and I took it and it served me well. It's probably going to be politically incorrect, but that's the kind of chick I am. And I'm sure the chicks on the panel, the other women will know what I'm talking about because I was young, I was fresh out of college, and I was green. And one of my mentors, Mel Jones out of Memphis, said, keep your mind open, keep your legs closed. Because being a woman in this business, everyone from the PD, the artist, and everybody else is going to try to get in where they can. And what they will make you believe is that it won't ruin you. But I can tell you right now, the whole industry will know. And trying to get a job after that, slim to none. So open mind, closed legs. Remember that.
Great. That was a great.
I know that's a lot, but that's what I do. Look at Courtney. She knows. She's like,
Courtney's
yeah.
running. Okay.
I'm just telling you.
I'm waiting to hear your advice. Courtney.
Like we don't even have the same mentors, and I got the same thing, Jazz, baby. Like,
I'm telling you.
You're taking me way back. Yes. Keep them closed.
Keep them closed.
Yeah, I think I would just tell myself to be patient, slow down a little bit. You don't know everything. I wouldn't be as stubborn and I wouldn't be as hard-headed. But at the same time, you need a lot of that fire. So I also think I would tell myself to always be ready to expand, and grow. And it took me a minute, but I finally learned that you have to have a lot of different feathers in one particular hat, especially with the way technology just came into our industry and just like really took over, and how quickly things evolve digitally. I would really tell my younger self or anybody, coming up now. They're pretty much born into the digital age now, but as it continues to change, just to stay on top of that thing. And to treat people the way you want to be treated, and just move with some grace and be gentle with yourself, and be gentle with others, because everybody's going through what they're going through, and they're trying to learn what they're trying to learn. Now you don't let them treat you like it, you don't put up with it, and find a balance with that too, because excuse my language, we have a tendency to be called what we're going to be called, with this bitch or whatever the case may be. But there's a balance there, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being, aggressive, but having the right attitude and the right temperament, and knowing when to push, and knowing when to pull back too. So balance. I think I would tell myself some balance too. Yeah.
Great. Okay, me.
I would say probably for me, I wish I would have established probably more relationships in the beginning, kind of starting off. And it's so funny because it was like I was really shy. So it's like, a lot of people don't believe, like, yeah, how are you so shy in your industry that you're in? And it just took time. I wish I would have been a little bit more outspoken, even though you're on the microphone, yes, your voice is being amplified. There was a lot of times where I should spoke up for, just asking questions and, and seizing some opportunities that I didn't because I was a little shy. So, just establishing more relationships, and also, being able to go ahead and speak up a little bit more for myself, and establishing those relationships, even with upper management. Sometimes it's like, some people look at it as, we're supposed to be a team and we're all supposed to be working together. And it's like, the employees against management, and it's not always the case. We're all supposed to be working together cohesively, for a common goal. So I would say that, and also being flexible. Sometimes, and still to present day, it's like, you plan something out and you want it to be just so, and sometimes you are just rigid, and you have to learn how to be flexible. You can't control everything all the time, even though you want it to be a certain way, there's other external factors that may happen, and you just have to learn how to, just not, become discombobulated because something may not go the way that you wanted to go or the way that you planned it to go. So just learning to be a little bit more flexible. You know, I've learned that now, but you know, my younger self, I didn't know necessarily learn that as early as I would have liked to.
Yeah, so true, so true.
You guys have given so many gems. The last point I want to hit on is mentorship. I know a lot of women come like, I need mentorship. So how can somebody, what would the perfect opportunity for somebody to say, can you mentor me? Because I know that sometimes it becomes an annoying thing. How would someone like myself come to a woman of any one of you ladies' calibers to say, can you mentor me? What would that person, how would that look to you? And how have you sought out mentors? Anybody can hop in.
Well, I know
for me, it's really simple. Just to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, because the thing that I learned a long time ago was before I became the person that I am, I think I thought other people were untouchable.
Right.
And then when I became that person that I used to look up to, I realized I'm the same person. So even though a person may have a title, they're still a Black woman, or just trying to make it. We all kind of go through the same things, maybe a little different. And so all I wanted was someone to talk to me about what was going on in the industry that I was trying to get to learn. So for me, it's really about being honest and being serious about it, not necessarily trying to, come in to get to know me, to get to know, artists and get your record played and, try to get a CD. None of that. Just be real, be honest. And for me, I mean, I'm willing to help anybody as long as you're serious and willing to put the work in. I mean, that's how I am. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Right. I think the only thing that turns me off, and I'm willing to help anybody too, and I do. Because somebody did it for me, so I really believe in that. But I at least need to hear some sort of blueprint, some sort of outline. I mean, just bring me some kind of frame. This whole kind of shot in the dark and I'm gonna be a famous whatever tomorrow by 1:30 in the afternoon. It could be a bit of a turn off. It could be a bit of a turn off, But I get it, and I try to put myself in their shoes. Gen and millennials are very, very different in their processing, and I'm trying to, I try to go there. Because I keep them near to me because they keep me young and fresh and popping. But at the same, so I try to honor how courageous they have a tendency to be, and a little they're very ambitious. That's it. So I try to keep that positive, but at the same time, once I feel like a level of comfortability is there, and I could just, I'm always keep it real, but once I can really get at them and give them the look here. Just really, bring them into some sort of, sense of reality and the whole idea of this process. And then there's something that you have to go through to get to it. Some get it, and some, are going to find out the hard way. But, I'm always open. And nowadays, sometimes there's too much accessibility to people. And they feel very comfortable with just hitting you in your DM, but hitting you here, hitting you there. And I have to understand now that we live under a very open society now. It's not as closed, if you will, as it was. I mean, there wasn't even email when I started in radio. So, so really, you can get it. My ladies on the panel let you know you had to write. You had to either write or find an address and do a map quest maybe to get to them, or pull over at the gas station and ask for directions. So it was much more challenging to get at people. And nowadays, things make things much more accessible. So, when you come, you have the pleasure of just tapping into somebody. Come with a game plan. Come with an outline. You don't have to have it all figured out, but just let me know what you're doing. Just give me a sense of direction so I can help, steer you right if I can. But when you all over the place, that's what's annoying for me.
Me?
For me, I think it's your approach, and because I've had young ladies and some young guys too say, "Oh, I know you won't let me come intern with you." Really? So I think that first for me, it's about your approach. Please, yeah, I need you to be just a little humble. Like, like Courtney said, some of them are very, very ambitious, and it's nothing wrong with that. But I just think it's like, sometimes it's not what you say, is how you say it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And, so that's probably the biggest thing for me. I don't have a problem with you asking, but how are you asking me? Are you asking me? Or are you telling me that this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to mentor you. I'm going to intern you. Like, Yeah, so it's about the approach for me. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with anybody asking any questions, and I do get DMs often and stuff like that, and I just have to kind of just redirect them, to the radio station and send me an email. Sometimes what happens, even when, of course, pre-pandemic, and maybe out and you're doing an appearance or something like that. And sometimes some people want to go and talk your head off. And it's like, this is not necessarily the time to do that. But here, let me give you my business card and reach out to me during business hours. And, I have no problem answering any questions and, pointing you in the right direction. And however I can help, I definitely will do that. So, yeah.
My mom told me familiarity breeds contempt. When people get too familiar, it's never a good thing. So I'm so happy about all the gems that you guys dropped this evening. I know that's going to be well appreciated across the board. And I just want to thank you ladies for taking the time out to be a part of this panel. It was amazing. Again, this is Black Women in Media, 5th conference and award show. This is the Radio and Broadcast Panel. And thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.